I'm Patrick Bailey with whiteboardcoder.com. Today is July 22nd, 2015. In this video, I'll be going over how to set up a nightly backup of a Postgres 9.3 database in Ubuntu 14.04 that also notifies a Slack room. In the show notes, I'll put links to any scripts I mentioned in this video. First, I need to probably make a directory where I'm going to actually store this stuff. And I'm going to make mine in data. I'm going to make a DB nightly backups. And I'm going to run this from the same box that I actually have the Postgres on. I'm going to save it on the same box, but you could also save it and secured copy it over or whatnot. Okay, so I'm going to create a script at user bin, and I'll call it backup.db. So I'll do that. Copying some notes I have over here on the side. Local Postgres database run via cronjob. So I'll do a little bit of configuration here, but not a whole lot. Keep it pretty simple. Let me close that and open it back up again so I can get my formatted colors there. So I'm going to have a backup. When you're backing up Postgres, especially out of the box, the easiest way to do it is to back it up as the Postgres user, because the Postgres user out of the box has the default privileges, so they have access. They have like super admin privileges. And so then I'll get my backup directory. And I'm going to bzip it, so I'm going to zip the file as it is backed up. And the way I'm going to do it actually zips it as it is backing it up, so that you don't need extra space to download the whole thing and then zip it. It does it all in line. And I'll call the file name myapp.database. Oh, there we go. Now we'll set up some pre-backup checks. Some things like making sure that the folder actually exists. And so I'm probably going to copy and paste some of this so I don't mess it up. Let me make this a little wider so you can actually see it. There we go. So what I'm doing here is I want to make sure the backup user is the backup user I have listed. So I want this script to only be run by the Postgres user. So this is going to make sure that the Postgres user is the one running it. If not, it's going to exit. See, another check I want to do is I want to make sure that the backup directory exists. Pretty simple there. And if not, exit. And give yourself a warning there too. And make sure that the backup user can actually write to that directory. And so that gives me all my checks. So as an example, I can go up here just to show that it is working. Well, two of those will fail, right? I can make two of them fail if I want to. So let me make that executable. And I'll execute it as the user I am right now, which is Patman. So it'll yell at me for that, or it should. Oh. Oh, yeah, let's actually run the command. There we go. There we go. So it says it must be run as Postgres. And so if I do this sudo switch user, I think that'll do it. Yeah. So that'll temporarily make me Postgres to run that, and Postgres cannot currently write to that that folder yet. We haven't set that up. But if I actually went in here And let me change where it's going to write to. Yep, does not exist. So perfect. Those tests are working the way I want them to. Okay, so tests are all good. Now the next thing I want is timestamp. I like to timestamp everything. So what I do is timestamp. I create a timestamp that prepends the backup name. And a timestamp to track how long the backup takes. I think it's always a good idea to track how long your backup takes, because if all of a sudden something strange happens or your database starts growing and growing and growing, you want to make sure that your database will back up in a reasonable time. Okay, so I'll do a basic timestamp here, and let me copy and paste this over here so I don't get it wrong. And so that'll give me a date. It'll use the date command to give me a year, month, day, -- hour, minute that I will prepend to the name of my database so I know exactly when it was created. And you don't need to do that, but it's kind of useful and nice and quick. And then if we want to quickly get the epoch time in seconds, that should do it. And now to actually back up the database. Okay, so I'll do a full file name, and I'll get the backup drive and the backup, I want the date stamp underscore file name. Oh, yeah, it's a variable. Okay. And then we want to, let's see if I did this right up here. Yeah, I made bzip a variable. If you don't want to bzip it, you could say no. So I set this up so you could zip it or not. Just depends on what you want to do. So I say if bzip equals yes, then do the following: full file name equals full file name dot bz2. Just adding the bzip on the end. Echo backing up full file name. And then I say if, because we want to test to make sure the dump all actually works. So I'm going to dump all, and then as it's dumping, it's going to pipe that information into bzip, vf, and full file name. And that full file name has a location. Then, so if that fails by some chance, we just want to say it failed. It failed. Full file name dot exiting. There we go. And I tested these out. I beat them in a little bit, and they seem to work. So I gotta force it to fail at one point, which I'm probably not going to do in this video. Okay, otherwise you don't want to bzip it. We dump it into full file name, then echo, this is if it failed. Dump all failed. Full file name. Exiting. There we go. Exit 1. Fee. There we go. Now, if you're doing the bzip, and I've had issues with this in the past, it's nice to actually confirm that the files didn't get corrupted somehow. I've had it happen before to me. Plus, you could also run other confirmations in here if you wanted to. The only one I consider important is this bzip one. So if using bzip to confirm the file is not corrupt. So if bzip equals yes, then echo confirming bzip is valid if bzip probably should have a space. I don't know if it needs to have a space. But that's what I have written over here. So bzip backup is corrupt. Full file name. Exiting. Okay, I think that does it. You could put other confirmation stuff in here too, like if you were worried about your disk space or something, you could do a check in here that would send an email out to someone if it was getting low. In fact, that's a good idea. I'm not going to do it here. But let me save that. Oh wait, wasn't quite done. I got a little bit more on that. Oh. Okay. Now let's do some, just notify. This is kind of a placeholder where I'm going to put the Slack, but I might as well notify out to the console here. Backup is complete. Now notify. This is where the timer comes in again. So I'll do a timer end equals, we'll get the time right here. Total time. If I can get this one right. Timer end minus timer start. Looks good to me. String time. Now we just want to make that into a string. And typically it's just going to be seconds, minutes and seconds, so I'm just going to do that first. Yep, minutes. If I can type. And do a mod 60 here so we can get the seconds. There we go. Now it's also a good idea, in case it takes a long time, account for backups taking over an hour. In which case I just want to change that string. So if it's greater than 3600 seconds, then I want to change the string. string time equals total time divided by, of course, 3600 to get the hours. And then here's a little trick to get the minutes working. So minute equals total time divided by 60. And then you take that variable and mod 60. And there's your minutes. And then I need to do seconds. Total time mod 60 seconds. Hopefully I typed that out right. If not, we'll come back and fix it. And I'm just going to do a bunch of echo commands to send something pretty out to the console. Ugh. Database backup complete. Database saved at. Full file name. Backup took. And there we go. So now we can get our timeout, how long it took to do the backup. Oh, might help to finish that. There we go. And might as well exit 0. Okay, now that's done. Now we already made it executable, so I don't need to do that again. But now I can, I need to make the folder. So I need to change the owner. So sudo change owner. I'll just do Postgres data DB nightly backup. Okay, so now it's owned by Postgres, so Postgres should be able to write to it. Now let me run that as the Postgres user and see if I actually wrote it correctly the first time. Nope, bzip, not a command. Okay, I didn't. Should be bzip2. So let me go back in here and edit that. Oh, bzip, not a command. Well, it says bzip2. Looks right. Okay. Line 68. Oh, yeah, there we go. Didn't see it. There we go. Let me try now. Okay, so let's try it again. Looks like it's backing up. Okay, good. Looks like it's doing it. I think it'll take 2 minutes. I got something like 600 megabytes in it. Not a huge drive, but this is on a virtual machine, so it's not the speediest of things. But I'll speed up the video here so you don't have to sit there and suffer for 2 minutes while this tries to complete. The bzip validation is running, and that'll take a few minutes to get that done. Oh, there we go. So it looks like it took 4 minutes 20 seconds to get all done. So now if I do, let's see, now last day, if I go check out the database, there she is, 358 megs. Now this only got roughly compressed about half, but I put a lot of actually random data in there, so it's not going to compress very well. Okay, so let's clear that up. Okay, now that we have that, let me add it to a cron job here. So I'll edit the main root cron tab here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just paste this in so I don't mess it up. So here's my own little command here. So what this is going to do, it's going to run the command as the Postgres user, and it's going to run it every day of every month of every week at the hour 2 and the minute 22. So 2:22 a.m. So it'll run late at night. Now you can change it how you want. If I wanted to run at 3:22, I'd just do 3 in the morning, but I'll leave it at 2:22. So now this should run every night. And all I have to do is save it. The next time cronjob looks at that file again, which I think it looks every minute, it'll get that information and you're fine. So you don't need to reboot anything or do anything to make that work. Okay, now that we have this backup running, it'll run every night, but it's going to date the files. So if I do show you again. So every file is going to be unique. It's going to have a timestamp right there in the front. You can see that. And so we're just going to add file after file after file here. So what I really need now is something to purge the old scripts, the old databases. So I can make a decision that I say, oh, I want to keep the last 10 backups and then wipe the other ones out. So we need some kind of purge script that we can add to our cron job. So let me work on that now. So I'm going to do make one called user bin, and I'm going to call it purge old db. I'm going to call it script to purge old database backups. Run via a cron job. Dun dun dun. And the same thing here. I'll start making a few configs, which actually are from the other. They're kind of copied from the other files. So if you actually wanted to make a config file for both of these, you could. But just for simplicity's sake, I'm going to keep them just in the file. So data db nightly backups and days to keep. And I'll just set it at 15. Let me save that and exit it out so I can get my formatting. There's probably got a way in Vi where I can do that without exiting, but I'll figure that out another day. So delete old database older than days. Okay. Delete old databases older than days to keep. For testing, you can... Oh, and this is just a note I have in mind, which I'm going to add in here anyway. So for testing, you can switch mtime for days for mmin 4 minutes. Just a little reminder, because I'll be doing that later. So I'll say num files removed. I want to track how many files I would in theory remove, and I'll use the find command for that. So I'll hit the backup directory. I'll only go 1 deep. I'll use mtime, which is days, and days to keep. Name. And everything in the way I named it, it's I can do a search on database .star. Extend that so that makes sense. There we go. And then pipe that into word count -l. That makes sense. So what it's going to do is it's going to find all the files in that folder that are at least 15 days old or older that have the name that matches that regular expression that has a dot database in the middle somewhere. I'm going to make this note here. Oh. Helps to close that out. There we go. I'm going to put this note here too, because I got two places where I can change the M time. So I'm going to do a test here. So I'll find the backup directory, max depth 1. Same thing here basically. Days to keep, name, database, and there we go. And then I'm going to pipe that into xargs -i, and then run this command. Then echo database purge failed. It's another test to see if we can fail. If we fail. Exit 3. Let's see what else we got here. So that'll purge it. Let me go review that. So what it's going to do is it's going to look for everything in the backup directory one level deep that is at least 15 days old that has the database in the name, and then it's going to find all those files and it's going to execute this command on those, which is going to remove the file. Simple enough. And then purge complete. Now notify. So here I'm just going to echo some commands out again, just so we can see it. Database purge complete. Database removed. Oh, database is, since I counted how many I should in theory have removed. Num files removed. Only keeping days to keep. Only keeping blah days. Okay. And then boom. There you go. And exit 0. Okay. So hopefully that'll work. So let me kill that. Now I need to make it executable. Now I can make it all. Purge, so everyone can execute it, which I probably should do that on the database backup too. Okay, so everyone can execute it. Okay, now I can run it. Anyone can run it. But I'll do sudo so I can make sure that it'll work, because Postgres owns those database files. Xargs, no such file or directory. Oh. Database DB nightly backups. Okay, I messed something up there. So we got backup directory, backup directory. We'll just echo this out. See what it's going to be. Okay, well, command looks like it would be right. Let me just run it by hand just to see. 0, well, yeah, there should be 0 files because there's nothing there right now, so that's right. XRs. So why does not like me? That looks right. Let's see, we got find backup directory, max depth, 1. Oh, I think I see it now. Yeah, I need, there shouldn't be a space here. There we go. I think that's right. There we go. So in this case, it didn't purge anything because nothing's there yet. Now what we can do is we can throw some files in there. So I'm going to do a little simple loop so I can throw a few files in there. So I'll do 1-9 do sudo touch-d 16 days ago. Now touch has this little nice command where you can, when you touch a file, it'll of course create a little empty file with the current date, but you can actually change the date. So if you do a -d 16 days ago, it'll make the file look as if it's 16 days old. And so I'll just call it my test.database because we need that. Test, and I'll put that I in there so I'll have 9 unique ones. Done. So run that command. And now if I look at the nightly, oh, it did not like that. Probably because I don't have sudo. Let me clear that out. Let me try a few more things, get that working. Oh, they wrote in this directory, so I need to put them in the right directory. Duh. Well, let me just go to that directory. So my command was right, I was just in the wrong directory. Do sudo touch-d 16 days ago. My test.database.test underscore I. Done. There we go. There we go. Now I got 9 extra files that are dated, 16 days ago. So now if I do a purge, user bin purge, now we should see it that it wipes out 9 files. There we go. We removed 9 files. And you can see it actually did remove 9 files. So fantastic. So that's working. Oh, and just to prove a point, let me make those files again. Now I'll touch another file. Do sudo. So now there's this testme.txt. Now it should not wipe that file out because it does not contain .database within its name. Still wiped out 9, and there's the testme. But I'll remove it now. Okay, now let's add it to the cron jobs. I'll go down here to the end, and I'll just make it run at 3:33 a.m. Now, in one sense, it doesn't really matter when it runs because it's not going to wipe out the database that you made today, because it only goes 15 days back. So you can have it run before, after. In fact, it's probably a good idea to run it before, because then you're freeing up space. But anyway, so I'll do purge old DB. You know, in fact, it's probably a lot smarter to have it run it before, because then you're freeing up space. Duh. Okay, so we'll just run it before at 1:11 a.m. in the morning. It'll purge the database, and then you back things up. Okay, this video is going a little long, so I'm going to turn this into a two-part video. And so here's a link to the second video, so just click on that. That video is going to cover talking to Slack via the webhooks integration.